and burning subjects for me again.
And we are live.
That's right. Hello, boys.
Hello, everybody, and yes, Bastard in Ohio is now making his debut on Burning Subjects
because today, sadly, Jim has decided to not join us. So,
well, he's going to be joining us in 4 minutes.
Or in a couple of minutes. Okay.
I gotta go in 20, so fuck.
Well, guys,
well,
before I get into our...
Someone get the Rickroll! Andrew's drinking hot sauce today!
Is he now?
Tonight on Burning Subjects, Andrew decides to make a threat. Is running from FRA officials for building a replica of a Reading A4B in his basement.
And all realism.
Steven forces Jim to build the 21st Century Limited 614 in Gary's mod.
Actually...
All realism.
Guys?
We murder foamers and cremate their bodies inside Furious Firebox.
Guys, I'm going to need to go for a second because I just realized I forgot some of the... Okay, but...
Breaking news. Josh has built a machine that's capable of ending all life.
It's called the Fury!
What? Wait, did he get something? What's he get?
Oh, dear.
A hot bus. Coming. Train Agra. Wait, shouldn't I have called it Tender Agra?
Again, that would be a very tender subject to talk about.
I know. Did Andrew even get the pun?
I will also insert mandatory French nationalism since I am.
There we go. You did it. Breaking news.
We're off to a great start, aren't we?
Did you know that France has had the most military victories of any world power throughout history, including...
Breaking news! Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were caught in Ohio snorting locomotive coal. Breaking news!
I'm back.
Random Mad Lad. Breaking news! Random Mad Lad decides to moonwalk Milwaukee Road 261 and other stories.
All right, I'm back though. I'm back. But guys.
All right. If Jim joins, I'm going to tell him to build that and to build the 21st century thing in Gmod.
Okay. But anyway, though, let's get on with the thing. So, first off,
Andrew, we're introducing the cool wall, right?
Yes, but after I introduce, after I start the introduction of the stream.
And Jim has joined us.
Hello, Jim.
Right, Jimmy is here. Jim, you have to build the 21st Century Limited now. You have to do it. Do it now.
Okay.
Gee, is that the way to welcome somebody who has just finished watching a Top Gear special to commemorate Sabine Schmitz?
No, Jim, you have to bang your girlfriend on the call.
Anyway.
All right.
I don't have a girlfriend.
Shut her up.
Anyway, though, guys.
I've got a cat, but I'm not
Now for the introduction. The Great Livery Debate. We tried, but before I actually said, we tried the same episode last week, and it was a total shit show.
Because Andrew's Wi-Fi fucked up. Nothing else did. It was all Andrew's Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And I decided, well, we're already fucking it up this badly. Let's just start again. And especially because this time, I have prepared everything. But before we get into the new stuff, the Great Livery Debate is a often criticized but also admired thing. You know, where certain steam locomotives, I don't know, take instance this locomotive. Like, let's say that this locomotive started out in this livery in service. as a Reading 040. But then when it went to excursion service, they painted it red and gave it this other That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the great livery debate. But before we get into that, today is an introduction to two things. One, Owen. Two, the wall of the cool wall.
Oh, and we're still having that Burning Subjects logo contest.
Yes, we're having a Burning Subjects logo contest. I've always imagined.
Can I enter something in when I do it?
Yes, but I've always imagined the logo being like basically the inside of a firebox, and the coal is just kind of sparking, and the name itself just kind of shows up in the fire. You know?
Oh, I just realized Andrew's wearing a hat.
All right, but anyway, though. Now to the cool wall. What's the cool wall, you ask? Watch Top Gear. Basically, the cool wall.
Well, from the old Clarkson era, that is.
Yes, the cool wall for us is basically a wall that we get to choose the coolness or the greatness of certain types of steam locomotives for us.
Yeah, we basically rank them in several categories, basically, for overall verdict.
Now, the thing is,
in the actual show, they had 4 potential rankings. From best to worst, you would have Sub-Zero, cool, uncool, and seriously uncool.
yeah,
We expanded it a little bit by throwing in average and mediocre.
yes. So here we have 9 locomotives to put on the wall today, and let's start off with probably the.
Hey. Before we start, I just want to tell you this now. When I make the art, I'll send it to you in messages.
Okay.
Best check it this time because you didn't say happy birthday, and I sent you, hey, it's my birthday, Andrew.
Oh,
That's anyway though. We got 9 locomotives. 3 are from Britain, but we're all going to decide where they belong.
We're talking about locomotive classes, right?
We're talking about locomotive classes and individual locomotives, depending on if they're extinct or if they aren't. For the first one, it is an extinct type, and Jim is going to come over this, and I'm going to pull it up to the camera right now.
God damn it, I don't have the clip ready. Hold on. So
I
let's
know
see.
it's compared to nothing.
Oh! Hold on.
This
Yes, the Union Pacific Feder Challengers.
The very first Challengers ever built.
Livery.
Standard Union Pacific.
I returned it.
I don't see how this is. How does this fit? I'm still waiting for the famous saying.
Cool.
what?
That is Sub-Zero as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. This is a Sub-Zero, especially because these locomotives actually had a higher tractive effort than the actual than the Jumbo Light
Not to
Challenge.
mention they revolutionized articulated locomotives.
Yes, these were like probably these were groundbreaking. So of course, put them on Sub-Zero. One sec.
Yeah. For those, in order to go further into depth on why they were so groundbreaking was before the Challengers came into the picture, most articulated steam engines were actually pretty goddamn. They were pretty goddamn slow. Let me tell you that. And they had a bad habit of pounding the track. The Challengers, on the other hand, while they weren't the first simple articulateds, it's that water going.
The first simple articulateds. And because of that, sorry if I take over your speech here, Owen, but basically, because they were simple articulated, the size of the cylinders and running gear was more balanced, so that way the locomotives could also travel at higher speeds, which was made even more possible by the fact that the locomotives were fitted with roller bearings on the axles, not just on the engines themselves, but also the tenders. Anyway, I finally found the correct sound clip for the UP Fender Challengers.
Anyway,
Yeah,
now onto the next locomotive. And this is a really unusual one. It is this.
that looks like a Reading articulation.
Yes, it is a Reading Mallet. It's a Reading 2880.
So it's a
That's
consolidation.
cool.
I'd say put it in either average or mediocre.
I'm gonna put it in like
mediocre.
I'm gonna put it in like
Cool.
I'm gonna put it in like somewhere cool and mediocre at the same time. Let me just.
I'm gonna say average, to be honest.
Yeah, that's okay. That
What he
is.
said.
Remember, this is a wall of truth right here. This is a wall. Of,
Let's put on some earplugs.
all right, now we got to.
Boys. So what are we talking about again? Because I had myself.
We're
definitely-
ranking locomotives.
We're doing the
based
cool wall,
on-
Raz.
All right. So working. All right. So where are the LS and ISC class consolidations going?
Shush. Just okay. We have 9 locomotives every episode, and so far we have 2. So far we have 2 locomotives on the wall, and now the next one, and this one's gonna be an easy one to figure out.
I can't even.
Cool.
It's the
What
1309.
is it?
Ooh.
Yes.
Put it in cool.
Yep, we are definitely putting.
Yes.
We are definitely putting that in cool.
Absolutely. I think it was one of the very, if not the very last steam locomotives built by Baldwin.
Oh,
If I'm not
domestic steam locomotive.
All right,
Yes,
and now.
domestic. Of course they would continue building military.
All right,
Yeah,
and now.
that was still before Baldwin merged with Lima and Hamilton, right?
Yes, but I guess on to the next one.
Yes, and this one is another individual locomotive, and Steven is gonna go nuts over this one. I can tell.
Okay.
The canned Canuck.
No.
No, it's the very underrated and obscure Pacific.
NNW 578.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
578.
Sub-Zero.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, let's-
It's cool.
It's a cool locomotive
Yeah,
because,
It was the
well,
first
it gets
Western
even-
steam locomotive operating in preservation era.
It's
so it
cool.
deserves
It's-
cool.
It's cool. It's also. Yeah. 578 is cool, and she did her job incredibly well.
okay,
And her
so
job
let's
is
put her in
is
like
basically
the.
going fast,
like a-
going fast with like 5-6 car passenger trains, and she did that really well.
Let's put her in like
And
a.
she gets
Like
she gets better.
I don't recommend putting it in average. I would definitely say cool.
I would say put it.
Bordering on Sub-Zero.
This looks like shit.
The thing is, it's just the quality of it. You can't really see much of it. Look, you see Sub-Zero, cool, and then on the other side, it just goes. But I put the other ones so that you can see the best ones here on the stream, and so that the other one,
Yeah.
and so that
Censorship.
and so that the mediocre ones are just along the side, and that the and that the seriously uncool ones are actually
Hey, Andrew.
what?
I think all you need at this point is a certain little mustache, just like Dan would grow.
But
Coulda.
I wanted to say this, but I think 578 gets extra points for once not having too small of a tender, which is unfortunately a problem I see with some other somewhat large Pacifics, i.e. A&W P290 is a good example of one.
okay, there we go.
That's just me. And
Could be
Mid-Western,
worse,
of
it could-
course.
Not to mention 917.
All right, but now that we've talked about and
917 is a consolidation.
Ooh, I got an idea for a logo.
okay, here is the next locomotive.
What is it? Show us. Pennsylvania Q2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it in mediocre.
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 Average.
What is
I
it?
would say average.
I don't say average.
Actually,
Alright,
it's changed my mind.
mediocre.
Average. Is, I would say on the border of mediocre and average because
I'm gonna put
it's
it.
kind of a both.
I'm gonna put it so like directly in the middle.
In my opinion, it's second best when it comes to the Hensley duplex story. And yes, I will still consider the team wants to be the best.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it right there.
Because of the increased route availability of the T1s.
All right.
Yes.
Not to mention the T1s have been
T2s were mechanically
selected.
good, they were just painfully expensive.
All right. So now for our last American locomotive on the cool walls today, and then it's on to our 3 British ones. Here's.
Wait, let me guess. Baltimore and Ohio T3.
No, it's Noah. It's Raz's Connie fuel.
Yes. Put it in cool.
Hey, no. What engine? Sub-Zero. Alice and I consolidations.
Yeah, so
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
Zero.
Sub-Zero. Our second Sub-Zero. Nice.
Average.
Sub-Zero.
We're-
See, 30, Sub-Zero. Put it in Sub-Zero now, or else I'll chop your balls off.
Sub-Zero. That would make some for good cock and ball torture.
All right. So we're gonna put it. We're going to. We have decidedly put it in Sub-Zero.
Because it's raw power.
Yeah. I mean, look at that chunky boiler and the high-mounted headlight. It looks like
that's an SC1 you guys are talking about, right?
Actually.
Yeah, it's basically the kind of Connie that 734 used to be. So
It's an SC1.
Powerful Connies.
All right. Now.
So you could also you don't have to just bring up 734. You could also bring up 33
And 35.
33.
Long lost 132.
Wait.
Let me put it this way.
32. Oh, 30. Is it 32 like somewhere in Air Force Base?
32 was actually blown up because it was used as a target on the
I know, but there's still rumors that thing exists.
It was.
It was actually used. It was actually used as a target on an Air Force base. So basically, it got riddled with machine gun bullets and rockets.
And fun fact, 32 was preserved along with the rest of the SC-1s thanks to the Marquette and Huron Mountain Railroad, but U.S. Air Force wasn't so kind.
Okay.
Well, to be fair,
essentially,
if they tried to do that with an OG S-160, it would get blown to fucking pieces in like.
Let me put it this way. What if the U.S. Air Force chose 3254 as target practice?
I highly doubt the Canadian government would allow. Even though I know some of us hate 3254 and are getting into character, i.e. Stephen. I highly doubt the Canadian government would do that.
Anyway, though, guys.
Hey, what if they chose 2100 to blow up?
Screw you!
Oh dear.
You're playing with fire, Josh. Playing with fire.
You know, Josh, I have the ability to kick you out of the stream.
I just wanted revenge.
Anyway, though, but can we go on to the last 3 locomotives of the day? And those ones are British locomotives.
Yes.
All right. The first British locomotive is. Oops.
Something you dropped.
Like the pancakes?
In your balls?
Yes, the pen.
Fury.
Sub-Zero.
What? Fury?
Average.
Seriously uncool. Fury is seriously uncool. No.
I would say average.
I'm gonna have to say it's uncool because it actually killed a person.
Look.
No, it's seriously. No, it's on the border. It's on the border. It's on the border of uncool.
Homer's bodies into.
It's on
because Sub-Zero. It looks awesome.
Guys.
Uncool. I'd say on the border of uncool and seriously mediocre.
I'm gonna put it.
Uncool and mediocre.
I am gonna put it in.
Mediocre.
It's I acknowledge its mechanical faults and the fact that it accidentally killed him.
But it looks awesome.
But your arguments are invalid. Awesome.
Now, guys, I'm gonna put it very low in cool.
No, you should be seriously uncool.
Screw you, Steven!
No, you.
Well, I won't be surprised if I ever put the Virginian triplex on this wall, then
Zero for Virginian triplex.
Okay,
Virginian triplex, I'm gonna go with seriously uncool.
now
Seriously uncool.
Honestly,
Actually,
also if we're gonna talk about any triplex, I'm gonna put them in uncool.
Actually, I now have a theory for triplexes. The Virginian triplex, since it got a new tender and was renumbered, we're gonna put it in mediocre. Reason why is because when it was a triplex, it was literally just since it was converted into a typical Malay. It was literally just a fucking Southern tractor engine. So
Not to mention, we can only find 2 stinking photos of the Virginian triplex.
now,
And at least the metal didn't entirely go to waste. They got
it didn't. What happened is that
she got rebuilt
What happened is that, actually, Steven said this in one of the other burning subjects, is that it actually stayed as an articulated, and it was made into a consolidation Malay.
but guys,
It was also made into another locomotive. Let me see. I mean, and it was also it was rebuilt from a consolidation Malay into a Chesapeake type.
Guys,
Don't you think we're getting off topic here, people?
yeah, guys,
What's next?
the next locomotive is a very easy one to decide.
Really? Sub-Zero.
What is it?
Look on the stream.
Sub-Zero.
Honestly, and I'm gonna get burned at the fucking stake for this. I'm going to put it in the average category because I will say this, I do think they're a little bit overrated.
Same.
Yay! I finally got you to admit something's overrated, Owen. You finally have seen the light.
And well, I'm saying the A4 is because it's literally, they ran it on a fucking downhill slope and it nearly tore itself to pieces during its record run.
Not to mention Mallard at the moment will never run again because its boiler is filled with fucking concrete.
That's actually a myth. The reason they won't run Mallard again is because the museum wants to put all the pieces together.
But in all seriousness, the A4 is really just...
Look,
Mallard's really just it was... The reason why Mallard's run was so hyped up was because Britain was about to go to war, and they needed a nice little piece of propaganda to I guess, inspire
Actually, the record-breaking one was accidental, Owen.
but guys,
well, it was still put out there as a propaganda piece.
And also, Mallard's boiler is not filled with concrete.
You know what? Let's bang it down a little bit. Let's go for cool.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Let's put it in cool.
I guess
Mallard's boiler isn't actually.
I'm still putting it in average. Change my mind.
Also,
Milwaukee Road F7 is faster.
I mean, the other thing too is that Mallard's boiler isn't filled with concrete. That's just a myth that the NRN came up with.
Like I said, they really wanted to get the parts original,
Guys,
so they don't want to bother rebuilding it.
It's
Who's
time.
the final locomotive?
Let's try to guess in this one. Let's try to guess. Black Fives.
No.
Go.
The
I
Black
actually gotta
Fives
go.
are good locomotives. So.
I'm gonna say.
You guys I don't care if you guys talk shit about me because really I'm going to be watching you guys the entire fucking time. But anyway.
I like the Black Fives, but I'm gonna say average. Like.
I'm gonna
It's actually seriously uncool. Seriously uncool.
What is it?
Brighton enthusiast, feel free to burn me.
Frightening 2.
Well,
I'm only gonna put it in the uncool because
here's the uncool
category. Because I'm gonna put it in only the uncool category because
what's the inspiration for the little blue humiliation? Why would you put it
fucking hell!
I think Owen wants to put it in cool. Hold on, I think Owen wants to put it in uncool because there was some good use that came out of the E2.
Yeah, there was. They were good. They were good shunters.
I forgot to do one more thing before my departure.
If I'm going to say this right now, when it comes to the E2s, I feel like the main reason why they were, used for as long as they were was because, of the two world wars that were happening. The railways were just, desperate for any locomotive they could get their hands on because they were in such a shit shape.
So, boys,
I mean, also the other railway was kind of in poor shape.
Also, I know that I was supposed to be gone like a couple minutes ago, but before my departure,
No!
I hate
Hold on.
No, don't.
number 4 that I rickrolled.
Yeah, but as I was saying before, I put it only in uncool because I think, yes, it was a shit performer, and I'm not going to fuck. It was nowhere near suitable for mainline use, or even branch line use for that matter. But I think it's kind of like one of those locomotives that gets ripped, no pun intended, railroaded into the ground because of dare I say,
Well,
Rabbit haters and Rabbit fans.
guys.
yeah, and I'm in the middle, and it's used as, and the thing is that also because of course, the anti-Thomas sentiments that exists within the community, which a lot of it I think is well, to be fair, it is somewhat the basis for somewhat immature rail fans. At least there are many other. It's not the entire fucking community that's like that. So
I wouldn't say it's immature for liking something. Just because they like something that's meant for younger audience.
But anyway, though, guys.
Line where, to the point, my big gripe with Thomas fans are mainly, those who don't stop talking about how great Thomas the Tank Engine is to the point where they don't want to get invested into the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally fucking agree with that.
Anyway, let's set that motherfucker on uncool on the cool wall and then get
Just
on
uncool. Just
Because how long is this episode so far?
Just uncool.
I think
We're
over
probably
30
30 minutes right now.
30 minutes on the cool wall. Let's get to it right now.
All right, though.
What should we talk about first?
Yes. So let's start off.
You go.
Let's start off with the elephant in the room. And here's a hint. It's one of the locomotives we put on the wall. 1309.
Oh yes. The fact that it's being put into
the Western Maryland livery.
Yeah.
Not just that, but they also want to fit a rock knocker pilot, but that's more for safety reasons.
What's a rock knocker pilot again? Can you remind me, please?
A rock knocker pilot is a mostly solid steel cast cowcatcher that was fitted to many Western Maryland steam engines. Its main purpose was
a Fulmer knocker cowcatcher.
Very funny. As I was saying, its main purpose was in its name, to knock rocks off the tracks, because the Western Maryland had really mountainous terrain, and rocks falling on the tracks was a constant issue. So
it looks like a snowplow.
Owen, apologies for bringing this engine up again, but does 734 have a rock knocker pilot?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Okay. I would say why not?
Always has been. Always has been.
Always has.
Yeah. It's almost, but I will say this. 1309 is going to look like a weird sort of hybrid between C&O design and, Western Maryland design in a way. Because
the Western Maryland
734, the thing is, they did own two 662s, but they looked like nothing like it. But I will say this, as much as I sometimes detest the rabid fan base of the 734, I cannot deny that the Western Maryland Scenic did an excellent fucking job cosmetically disguising it as. Granted, they gave it an H7 number, even though it resembles a bit more of an H9. But then again, that's minor.
It still has an equal attractive effort of an H7, actually.
So I guess that's why they put 7 as opposed to 8 in front of it. All right.
Yeah, they did more based on performance.
As I was saying before, the whole issue with 1309, the big issue with 13 hasn't really been with its livery, but technically that it has, according to some people, large boots to fill in a way, albeit I wouldn't say they're as large as people may think it is. Hence
Guys, I think I have to go for a few minutes. I have to help my mom with something, but I'll be back in 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Right. I shall continue. The thing about it is, 734 has gained somewhat of a cult fan base, especially in recent times. Also, partially thanks to DVD.
But
I know we can't hear you.
I think he cut out.
Okay, because I have to help.
Oh, and I think you're going to have to rejoin in.
Owen.
Owen. Now the voice had to rejoin.
No, cook.
Once again, Discord acts up.
Anyway, continue with
saying,
Anyway,
as I was saying, the 734, despite its mechanical woes and everything, it definitely left a big impact. And now that 1309 is coming into the picture, that of course some people are very happy about that. Now, which kind of play now. Due to a result of that, the whole livery situation with 1309 is it's kind of second to the issue of just 1309 in general. Also, the restoration, even though I like the locomotive and I hope Western Maryland, the restoration of that thing was a fucking nightmare.
You could say that again.
Yeah.
You had employees stealing parts. You had unrealistic, completion dates. Hell, I'm pretty sure their original one is that they wanted to get it running by 2017.
They totally feel
are still being rude about it. That there's this Facebook group called "How Misleading Is Project 1309."
Oh yeah, that fake. Honestly, screw those people. They're just a bunch of whiny 734 farmers who try to do everything in their power to discredit the Western. But I gotta give it this. It's not really with the locomotive itself that I have respect for, but the amount of dedication that the railroad has literally put into it. They were almost brought to the verge of fucking collapse. Especially last year with COVID basically stopping with basically shuttering all their train rides last year.
Because COVID shut down life as we know it.
Absolutely. And they continued on. And I have a very good feeling that 1309 is going to help with their regeneration, so to say, because A, it's a bigger locomotive than 7. And there are many reasons why I think 1309 is a superior locomotive. A, it had obviously it's a bigger and more powerful machine. B, it will attract more of the general public, which actually matters a lot more to the WMSR rather than the die-hard foamers that want 734 back. And C, since the Western Maryland Scenic has pretty tight curves, the fact that it's articulated. Like, when you compare solid... What?
Before 1309 was restored, 734 was actually the largest operational steam locomotive in the state of Maryland. So that's a plus bonus for 1309 restoration.
Yes, it is. It's going to sort of take that crown, even though honestly there hasn't been that many operational steam engines in Maryland at all. But as I'm saying, you're comparing a 1916 consolidation to a 1949 Mallet, to an ultra modern 1949 Mallet. That's basically comparing. Basically, what you're comparing is a Ford Model T to a 70s Dodge Challenger, for example. One is the Model T, of course, is going to break down more often, is a lot weaker. The Dodge Challenger, which is the car I'm talking about, so people don't get confused with the locomotive, can just rock it away.
You know what? Ever since I watched that one Burning Subjects episode about overrated steam excursion stars, in other words, when they talked about 734, you guys did, my opinion has changed on 734 because of Homer's ruined it for me.
That's what happened with 90 for me.
Yeah.
To be fair, I will say this about 90. She, at least she definitely has a bit more credibility to her, I guess, cult-like fan base. Like, number one, she was the only decapod ever purchased by the Great Western. Number two, she actually saved locomotives from a roundhouse fire. And number three,
what?
she's...
Are you seriously gonna go off topic now?
Sorry, I have a tendency to defend 90's honor when tarnished.
Anyway, though, now that we've talked about 1309 and 734 in the nutshell, it is time for Jim to talk about the King of Masquerades.
985. If I can fucking access Google again, because I fired up Gmod, but
Googly.
it's stuck.
It's googly. One sec, I'm gonna go get a drink, but you can start talking about.
Yes, 3985. Well, honestly, where do we begin? 1992. I mean, of course, we all kind of know by now that the Clinchfield Railroad also had some Jobblemon Challengers. In fact, they were the last owners of those 6 extras that were built that Union Pacific decided to lease to the Rio Grande, where they weren't very popular. So they were ultimately returned to UP and then sold to the Clinchfield, where they were numbered 670 through 675. And in 1992, 3985 kind of got renumbered as 675, but that was a bit of a dry run, bit of a test run for when it was renumbered to 676. For the 50th anniversary of the Clinchfield's Santa Claus train, always held in like November and December of the year. So, yeah, awesome way of celebrating the 50th anniversary of that Santa Claus train. I mean, what better way to do that with the largest operational steam locomotive in the world at that time?
Well, to be fair, from what I heard, it wasn't flawless because apparently 3985 may have been a little bit too big because her tender derailed in Kingsport, Tennessee, but an even more, I guess, serious incident occurred when it was rounding a curve next to a bunch of hoppers, and the hoppers chewed up one of its running boards.
Can I say this right now? My cousins live in Kingsport.
I didn't know about that.
Tennessee.
Did CSX do some did CSX do some track maintenance to actually make curves a little bit more severe or something? Put it closer to each other?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I do know Yeah, but I think it was. I think it was partially, I guess, modified to the railroad's needs because by then they were using rather short diesel locomotives as opposed to the large Challengers that roamed there once before. But like as I'm saying, there's a pretty damn good reason why 3985 never actually returned to the east after that.
Yeah, I mean, even if the whole
Definitely.
colliding into hoppers thing didn't happen, I guess that the Centipede tender would still cause a few problems because, well, let's face it, those are kind of stiff.
I mean, what I've actually seen, it's like a bogey on the front and on the front.
Yeah, front axle on a rigid frame. That's a bit long. Now, anyway, what I wanted to, after the 676 Masquerade, 1993 saw it being renumbered as 3967 and fitted with smoke deflectors for the 40th anniversary of the very first steam excursion that operated on the Union Pacific. And they did so again in 2003 for the 50th anniversary of said excursion. And then, of course, then on the return trip back to Cheyenne of that 40th anniversary excursion, they renumbered it again to 3718 because, again, during the steam era between 1946 and 1952, UP had converted 18 of the Jobblemon Challengers to convert oil instead of coal. And so locomotives 3930 through 3937 and 3975 through 3984 were collectively renumbered as the 3700 series. So 3700 through 3717. Had they continued with 3985 in the steam era, it would have been numbered 3718.
Yes.
I mean, they always want to do a triple header.
Anyway.
How do you
on chat again?
Now,
I can imagine they wanted to masquerade 3967 as 3985 again in 2013, but
you mean
those plans might have been before.
3985 and 3967.
Sorry.
but guys,
Anyways,
now that Owen has talked about 1309-34, Jim's talked about the 3985, it is time for me to talk about the T1s.
I guess I'm the only one that doesn't get to talk.
2101.
Andrew, do you realize you have to talk about heroic as 2100, right?
I know.
I can't bear to see these 2100 abused like that.
What? Is it?
Anyway,
Where is it?
though,
At your mom's house?
we all can't really talk.
My mom's house is my house.
Can I? Anyway, though, we're gonna start with 2100 so that I can get it over quicker. So first, 2100 was one of the first to operate in that operated in the Iron Horse Rambo. Blah 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 blah. When it was painted, with the nice yellow striping. In fact, I actually have a Broadway Limited model of that exact livery. My personal favorite. And then you all know how in 2100 it was parts donor for 2101 Then it went to a couple of owners like the loaner of Lionel Trains And then
can I point out it's not necessarily a livery, but when it was owned by Richard Coon,
it was given a visored headlight.
Just imagine when it was relettered Lionel Lines.
No.
That would be pretty cool.
But when 2100 was bought by Richard Coon, 2100 was given a visored headlight, which honestly,
and not only that, but I think it also used the Hancock 3 chime, which seems a little bit odd for a Reading locomotive.
It sounded pretty cool. But anyway, now on to the infuriating part. When it was sent to Canada.
Yes. Thomas Paine.
Thomas internal and external pain.
I mean, he didn't really have much common sense, unlike the other Thomas Paine.
Not and when he
Paine is not as good as Tom Wilson.
Thomas Paine converted the 2100 for an oil, and then the 2100 was painted up in the most god-awful paint scheme with just one red stripe going through it that made it look like it was trying to be Lightning McQueen. With,
streamlined J.
and not to mention the lights. The freaking lights they added on 21.
The lights were terrible.
Ditch lights.
The ditch lights were.
I mean, my main complaint with the ditch lights is why the third one below the headlight? It looks like it has two number plates. It looks awkward.
It looks.
Oh, I just thought of something. What if it was fitted with the twin seal beam headlight?
Whatever.
Screw you. Anyway.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned, a headlight is still a headlight if it's in the same position.
But anyway.
Or better yet, just keep the visor on the headlight and not put a ditch light there.
But anyway. And after Thomas Paine did all these horrible things, of course, the last thing he did was to paint the tender with the lettering Ferroequus, which stands for Iron Horse in Latin.
I mean, it's a combination of Ferris and Equus, so it makes sense.
But
Hey, Andrew, I'm going to depart, but before I depart, I want to tell the audience about what's next for 2100 and what two people specifically are going to be visiting it.
Oh, God.
Me and Andrew.
Josh does live in Ohio, and 2100 is in Ohio as well, so...
Andrew, you're going to visit 2100?
yes, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, so I will say this though.
I'm not done with
I
2100
know
yet.
it's not there. I know it's not their roundhouse, but I do know the other. I do know the owner of said roundhouse, which are the same people who are restoring Grand Trunk Western 282 Mikado number 4070. They gotta fucking
say
fix that place
Mikado?
up.
Did you say Mikado?
Yes, I did. I was talking about Grand Trunk Western 4070 for.
Where is it?
Also,
It's next to the 2100, Josh.
We're going to see a Mikado, Andrew. You're coming with me.
It's not a Japanese
Guess
Mikado.
what?
I can
370
care
also
less.
been with historically inaccurate liveries in the past.
Anyway, though.
Yeah, it was in a CB&Q livery for the 1984 film The Natural.
Hey, who does?
Wait, Owen, we're getting off track.
Oh yes, right, we are. On to the next one.
I still need to finish with 2100. You know, and then
See y'all later.
100 again?
in a nutshell, after 2100 was painted in the god awful paint scheme, it wasn't able to run in Canada, so it was sent back to America in Washington, and then it was bought by the American Steam, which currently is actually painting the 2100 up in its original Reading freight livery.
Can they put the visored headlight on there too?
Maybe. That'd be nice.
I would like for it to piss off Reading purists a little bit by having the visored headlight.
Anyway, though, now to 2101, which is the most obscure out of the bunch. 2101 has obviously.
That's been the most famous, and I dare say most overrated of them all.
Famous one.
Yeah.
It's the most famous out of all of them.
2101, as we all know, was starred in the American Freedom Train project, and the locomotive, but the liveries are what we're here to talk about. 2101's
They're
American.
They're
2101's.
actually. I want to point out that, I hate to interrupt again, but, I'd like to point out that 2101, had a grand total of 3 liveries alone for the Freedom Train. The first livery was very simplistic. It still had, Reading T1 esque features. It still had the same headlight placement. It didn't have the number boards. It was still numbered number 1 though, but it had kind of a dark blue paint scheme all over the engine itself, and on the tender it had a red and white stripe going down the side.
It looked like Conrail.
Yeah. Paint scheme.
It somewhat looked like the Opus 2100.
Shut up.
The second paint scheme was a little bit closer to its, more famous paint scheme. But, it simply said American Freedom. It had a stripe on the bottom of the tender, and then above the stripe it said American Freedom Train, and it still had that America, stripe on that, running board skirt looking thing. It still said America on there. And the third paint scheme, obviously we know what it looks like. It had some sort of logo of some sort on it, and then the American Freedom Train is actually within the stripe this time, and it's still got the America thing on there, and it's got a different number plate and a brass eagle on the headlight, on top of the headlight, and number boards on the front.
And now, well, probably my favorite Reading T1 2101 livery probably have to be the Chessie Steam Special.
Same.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, the one that died in spontaneous combustion.
Don't remind me.
Although yes, according to Ross Rowland, he said that the T1s in their original Reading garb
Were too boring looking, too plain looking.
So yeah, that's why he moved the headlight and then added the eagle and the number boards and all that stuff, at least to the front end. And
made the smoke box gray. And honestly,
I almost kind of wish that they made it into a B&O livery, just to see what it honestly would have looked a little bit like a T3 Mountain, but just in a northern.
I'd approve.
Yeah, me too.
You want to know? You want to know what would be somewhat worse livery for it?
What?
Southern. What if Graham Clater and Bill Purdy got a hold of it and painted her up in Southern?
What?
Oh God!
Oh.
I literally spit on it.
But on a more serious note, there was a somewhat another Blurst livery for this thing that was actually planned for it after the conclusion of the Chessie Steam Spec, which was apparently Conrail wanted to run their own Steam specials, and they actually wanted to paint 2101 up in Conrail blue.
No!
Wait, hold on.
That's where that latest Lionel model of the 2101 came from, in Conrail blue.
Yeah, that was an actual plan.
I thought Conrail banned Steam after a certain incident on Horseshoe Curve in '77.
No, I don't think that was the case. I don't think that was the case. Conrail was actually pretty lenient when it came to Steam, but they wanted to run a Steam special. But of course, the roundhouse fire that ended up burning the locomotive badly kind of put those all to made those plans all go to hell, practically.
And thus we know about what engine it was traded for after that point. 614, which we can also talk about the liveries that thing was in. Now, even where it was first initially restored for the
Steven.
safety express.
Steven, we're getting off track. Next.
Saving 614 for later, Steven.
Yeah, actually. You'll be able to talk about, I'll name the locomotives you need to talk about, Steven. But now for the last two, and I'm going to talk about because 2124 is exactly the same as, the Reading Ram.
We're still talking about the T1s. I forgot that.
Yes. 2102 now.
We would just go ahead and talk about 614 because, we already talked about 2101.
Yeah.
Or actually, we're still got to talk about 2102.
Yes, 2102, as we all know, it has...
Off the top of my head. Hold on, let me scroll up here because here we go. So we got 2102. We all know that it was cosmetically disguised as DNH 302. The first livery, it didn't even have a recessed headlight. I feel like without the recessed headlight, that was probably like a dry run or something like that.
Yeah, that was. And actually, even after that, it would actually retain the recessed headlight into 1974, and even when they removed the smoke deflectors, believe it or not,
it looked ridiculous like that, though. I actually think it looks kind of funny.
Yeah, true. But of course, honestly, the DNH 302 is my personal favorite masquerade of all the T1s because smoke deflectors. I mean, there's not a whole. Yeah, and it represented a northern class that unfortunately gets, dare I say, purposefully overshadowed because of its reported ugly looks.
Granted, I'll admit that 2102 in disguise did look better than the actual DNH Northerns, but the DNH
I kind of like the look.
much better looking than like the Pacifics that they had.
Well, let me just say this about the K62s. For those who think they're ugly, function over form is a pretty good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, they could haul easily, like, over 100 freight cars, with TVs, and, of course, dare I say, I also like them because another thing I can't
We're
really
getting off track, Owen!
steam locomotives. Alright, fine, I'll stop talking.
I kind of wanted to hear what Owen had to say.
Well,
all right, let me explain. Now, another thing that bothers me about some steam locomotive tenders is when the bunker is too high, but it has a short water tank. That is that, as in height. Like, that is something I cannot stand on a steam locomotive. The DNH K62s eliminated that completely with just an entirely square tender. Just.
Are you going to continue talking about K62s, or are we going to continue talking about the T1s?
I mean,
Yes.
We are sort of getting off topic. So,
all right, but I mean,
Dupost, I think in the 70s, I don't know if it was still owned by Steam Tours of Akron, Ohio, but it said, like, some point in the 70s, there was a livery. I mean, 2102, the only difference that it had in some point in the 70s, it said Allegheny on the tender rather than.
I think that was in 1977, if I'm not mistaken. That's when it double-headed. Yeah, it started then, but it's also when it double-headed with 4070.
well, now that I've talked about the T1s, it is time for Steven to talk about 3 types. And keep in mind, Steven, we have 3 minutes until we have to end.
Before you go, I think I just realized something. We could be talking about Strasbourg 90 in this video after all because the relettering.
No.
I thought we were going to talk. What about the livery that it was put in on the BM&R, the 2102?
I forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It wore the Constitution livery.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, though,
it's an oddball livery that nobody really talks about.
Steven?
Hell, even KL didn't even make that livery.
These are the locomotives you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the G5s. I mean, specifically 1278. Then you're going to talk about 614. I know there was a third one. What is it? What was it?
Please don't tell me we're going to be talking about the Gettysburg.
No, the Gettysburg can go die in a hole and in a fire.
Good answer.
Fire in the hole, am I right?
Yes.
Wait, hold on.
And then
I want to ask this question. I know I've already gone, but I kind of want to ask this question. Will 2716 be appearing in this episode?
Yes, that's what Steve. That's the one I wanted Steven to talk about.
This video.
That's
Oh,
Oh, so let me ask, what episode are we gonna do? Or what is the What are we talking about next?
Well,
You're talking about the G5s, 614 and 2716.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. First, I think I'm going to start with the G5s. When 1278 was acquired by its rightful owner, F. Nelson Blount, it was put in it was given these Steamtown Beauty treatments. It basically, they removed the locomotive's last digit from its number, and, now 127, and they painted at least the smoke box door, I believe, like silver or something like that. And they gave it an Alesco feed water heater that Jim hates, obviously, because it's not German looking,
Whitman sucks.
Honestly, and they also gave it what I call the Blount style bell placement. The Blount style bell placement is if you have an Alesco feed water heater that's exposed, but you have a bell, like a front mounted bell on top of it.
You know what 1278 reminded me of in that livery? It almost looks like a shrunken down Erie K5. Like,
it kind of does. But yeah,
it could have masqueraded as an Erie locomotive.
I remember watching, clips of it as 127, like on Twilight of Steam. That was, I thought that engine looked pretty cool, but it was a shame that it didn't operate in that Steamtown grand opening video. Well, you know why. It wasn't operating at that point. But anyway, there was another livery that it was put in. It was a little bit more simplistic than the one that was initially rebuilt as. It was, I believe, it was still numbered 127, but it simply sets Town USA on the tender rather than that other logo that they had. Sure, let me see here. And also, like 2102, 1278 was actually cosmetically disguised as a D&H locomotive. And again, it looked better than the D&H Pacifics, the real D&H Pacifics. It was numbered 653. Yeah, I feel like that was the last time it operated for the High Iron Company, and it did do double headers with 2102. What else was there? But unfortunately, in like 1973, I believe, or no, not 1973, like maybe like some point in the 70s. Like
1987?
No. Some point in the 70s, they gave it back its original livery, or somewhat original livery, and original number, and it just, I don't know, it felt like it was just becoming a purist pussy rocket again. And they even got rid of the visor on the headlight and the Blount style belt placement. And unfortunately, and we all know how it went from there, honestly.
yeah.
And need to say anything about the canned Canucks switcheroo. And 1278's demise. Because talk about it.
Okay, fine.
Steven, you still need to talk about 614 and then 2716.
Okay, so
you realize want to talk about the 21st Century Limited again, right?
Of course I'm going to talk about it, and Jim is going to build it in Gmod right now. Put down your little 98 tank locomotive.
Dude, I'm building a 9400 class Pannier tank. And no, I refuse to build the 614 in.
Wait, you're building a 9400?
I will find out where you live and force you to do it at gunpoint.
You don't even have a gun.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, Stephen, the answer will be a hard no. I don't wish to be forced into it. I refuse to do it. Now start
Well,
talking
if Raz,
about routine.
well then me and Andrew can build it.
I refuse.
Well, then I'll get Raz to do it. I'll see if Raz can do it.
I'll turn Raz's ass to grass.
But anyway, 614. When it comes to 614, the first livery that it was in, it was just painted in Chesapeake System railroads rather than Chesapeake and Ohio.
Yeah, like the locomotive itself had barely changed.
And
It was just a different
what
name
else
of
was
the
there?
tender, that's all.
Don't forget the the Family Lines Safety Express.
Oh yeah, that's I think when it ran on the L&N. I will say though, I think that's probably my least favorite livery for 614, just due to how plain it looks and how the white
lettering and stuff, numbering and all that.
Uh-huh.
And then in like 84, 85, the 614T livery, where it was fitted to the brim with sensors and scientific equipment and made into basically a T1000 steam locomotive. But 614 was painted up with I think the American Coal Enterprises, the Chesapeake System logo, and the what else? The
Family Lines?
Foster Wheeler Company.
Foster Wheel?
Bring you the and then it said working together to bring you the Ace 3000 on the tender or something like that. I don't know, but it was renumbered to 614T, which the T signified that it was a test vehicle. It was basically pulling a whole bunch of coal trains and stuff, unassisted through the mountains.
They had great logos on that tender. See,
Wait, so I mean, I think there's one aspect of the cosmetic change, but this is also counts as a mechanical change. When they first restored the 614, and it has stayed with the locomotive ever since, they also extended the coal bunker.
Yeah, that too. Which, speaking of that, Jim likes to use that specific tender for a lot of his engines.
Well, that's because
I was a shorter version of that tender in Gmod. Can you blame me?
But let me. Now I think I can finally talk about what I really wanted to talk about.
Oh, good God.
And the thing that I really wanted him to build in Gmod, but I can't because, he's honestly not going to build it because he doesn't like that livery. The 21st Century Limited livery. Ah, yes, the 21st Century Limited. It was a canceled steam excursion. Let me look up here. So basically, the livery that 614 was supposed to be in was it would have running board skirts that were like blue and white and all that stuff, and the tender would have been painted white on the top, and then a blue stripe in the middle, and then kind of like a bronze, maybe copper on the bottom. And above the blue stripe, it says 21st Century Limited. However, the weird thing is when it was just, I guess, like the demo of the excursion, they did make running board skirts. I believe the running board skirts were simply made out of plywood that was painted. And, well, it had they centered the headlight on the thing, which, of course, Jim more than likely doesn't like. But that's not what I wanted to put it in. That's not what I wanted Jim to put it in with the centered headlight. I wanted it to mainly be the one from the concept art, which more than likely was made by Bob Lorenz, where it's actually pulling the train.
At least they kept the rounded number plate.
The oval.
Oval, yeah.
Oval. Right.
But yeah, it was basically, I think that they only really teamed it up right there just for as a demo or something like that. But honestly, I feel like maybe I feel like it could work. The excursion could have worked a lot better had it not been for the fact that they actually wanted to at least bring the exhibits across Europe as well. I feel like
and Asia.
Oh yeah, well, it could be worse. Did they want to take it to Australia too?
Oh my goodness. No. You know what would have been funny? If they actually brought the train to North Korea.
Oh god.
No.
Take it to Africa.
Anyway.
If it was just, kind of like the Freedom Train. It was basically the Freedom Train on steroids. Hell,
Its main purpose, I think, was to promote technology, technological development of the 20th century.
We have the technology.
Yeah, the 614 would have been one of the locomotives to be used on the train. The other was a locomotive that actually scared away a few preservation societies, believe it or not.
Just words, New York Central 3001.
Yeah, that locomotive, that engine scared away, I believe, North Star Rail and somebody else.
They also scared away.
Society.
They also scared.
Yeah.
They also scared away the Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society.
That's literally what he just said, Andrew. But I feel like if it was just run in maybe U.S. and Canada, it could have been a little bit more plausible. But the fact they wanted to take it across the globe just is mind-boggling. I mean, for one thing, the coach, if they were to bring the entire train over there to Europe, rest in peace to the trackage over there, because, railways in Europe obviously can't take the same, coaches as, North America.
Probably because the cars were the same size as European cars.
Also, they were planning on building a locomotive called the Millennium Machine, which was going to be number 2000. It was basically the
Tracks to life.
yeah, that was one of the diesel something all futuristic. They even planned all sorts of stages to be used with the engines and all that stuff. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, this was quite literally, like I said, the Freedom Train on fucking steroids.
No. This is the Freedom Train on crack. This is because literally only a person who was smoking crack would have been able to come up with a plan as crazy as this.
But
another only person who could have come up with this
is me.
would be some wacky Bond villain or something.
Or probably somebody on the autism spectrum who obsesses over the Lion King.
Wait, Jets?
Nudge, wink, wink. I'm talking about myself. I've come up with some pretty stupid ideas.
Don't you think we're getting off track again?
Yes, we are.
Steven, it is time for you to talk about 2716. And if you don't, I will use the shotgun on you.
Oh, wait, I've got to talk about the Greenbrier Presidential Express.
Oh, yes, you need to. Especially because it literally was...
Livery. It was a canceled excursion that Ross Rowland planned, but it was canceled.
Basically, it was supposed to be an extremely expensive luxury train running between the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia and Washington, D.C. Like, I'm pretty sure tickets were like $600 a piece.
So expensive.
Oh my god. And I think he also planned, like, maybe in the late 2000s, something called the Yellow Ribbon Express, where, didn't he, like, plan on...
He wanted to burn to natural gas.
Yeah.
And yet, he said real steam engines must burn coldly.
Hypocrisy at its best, honestly. And it was painted blue for the yellow. It would have been painted blue for the Yellow Ribbon Express.
Ironic.
God damn. Yeah. It's Yellow Ribbon Express, yet it's painted blue. It's awkward.
Those plans came up.
I got an idea. How about I reskin one of the 614 tenders into the 21st Century Limited livery? And trades.
I mean, you could. I mean, you can do it. Hell, I actually made a fictional Golden Spike Susquentennial limited livery for 614. Literally just.
Anyway, though.
Literally. Let's talk. Yes, let's talk about the. Let's talk about.
Yes, Steven, talk about
the Prince of Masquerades.
Talk about the Burke. Talk about the Burke.
Oh yeah.
Knolla?
They were masqueraded twice, didn't
Talk about the Knolla.
The Knolla.
Steven, talk about the Knolla. Farmers are gonna go nuts.
2716. It's personally my favorite livery is the Southern livery, just because of how fancy it was. How the brass eagle on top of the headlight, the I guess like the white smoke box and all the lining on it. It just looks really fancy, like it's really ready to pull some excursions and stuff. However, the issue was its mechanical restoration was a botch job, which is why it only lasted a year on the Southern.
Yeah.
And my God. And I always wonder, what would it have been like if 2716 was restored properly? I mean, granted, it probably would have entered excursion service a lot sooner, but what would happen with 611?
You're right.
It's been refurbished, most likely.
You're right. That means that.
I think 611 was actually initially they started rebuild on 611 in 1981. So I guess the N&W was probably thinking of having an excursion program of their own.
I mean, Norfolk Southern didn't appear until July of 1982. So
wait, what about 1218 though? That means if
1218 probably not. Like depends.
The only modification 1218 ever had was a twin seal beam headlight, vertical to be precise.
Not the modifications. I was talking about what if 2716 kept running? If she kept running, 1218 might have never ran again.
Yeah. What else is there? And not only that, but I like the cow catcher that they put on 2716 during its time on the Southern. I personally don't really like the pilot that the C&O gave him, because it looks a little bit too much like a switcher pilot.
Let me put it this way. I'm starting to agree with Jim on this one, because compared to other 284s, 2716 and its classmates look different.
Again, Owen and I have to agree on this one. We don't really like switcher pilots on bigger locomotives.
I mean, that's the other. I mean, I'm not really a fan either.
I mean, take a look at 2050.
Because it's a common feature on Vansberg and Berkshires, I've noticed.
I mean, take a look at 2050. That's a literal Malay with a switcher pilot. Doesn't that look weird?
Yes.
The biggest offender, in my opinion, is B&O 4500. But like I said, we're kind of getting off track here, because I believe it was in the fact that it only lasted after the NS Steam program came to a close. The 2716 ended up being given to the Fort Wayne Railroad Historical Society, who
had plans to restore 2700 at first, but Fort Wayne Group was like, why restore a scrapyard wreck when we could just logically restore a locomotive that's in better condition?
Yeah, and I think they patched up the firebox, but then they realized, oh shit, this locomotive's flues are about. But since we're talking about liveries, it's only logical to explain that they reverted her back to her original C&O livery, which she ran with until she was retired in 1996. Well, but even in static display, it wore a couple liveries, such as 2016.
Yeah,
Which it?
Louisville National Big Gamma.
Yeah, LNN 1992. I was about to get to that.
Thomas is returned.
Missed me?
And guys, a quote.
Yes.
Guys,
As I'm saying, the 2716 in that livery was cosmetically disguised as an L&N locomotive, number 1992, which would have been the next.
Big Gamma if they bought more of them.
And when it was moved by CSX to the Ravenna shops in 2019, she sported something which, dare I say, some people would never thought some would see on a steam locomotive. A CSX logo.
Yeah, in silhouette of Canola, no less. So it's actually a nice variation of the CSX logo.
Now that I think about it, what if the CSX logo was painted?
How
did I think about it? What if a CSX logo was painted on 2101?
I mean, CSX came into being in 1980, so I don't think it would have been really. I don't think it. But as I'm saying, how's that for the alleged anti-steam railroad of America? A claim that gets fucking tossed around. Hell, they actually moved 1309 free of charge. And they also gave them, the WMSR, a little bit of money to restore it themselves. But anyways, we're getting off topic, and I kind of stole Steven's thunder,
yeah.
so to say.
Owen, keep an eye on that, because don't steal other people's spotlight, because there's a reason I say that certain people should say that so that they can get their time on the stream to talk.
Right, Steve. Yeah, Steven, I'm really kind of sorry for that. It's not
that big of a deal. I mean, I'm fine with other people adding things to the conversation.
Yeah.
You better not steal my spotlight.
But again, I would prefer it if they put a different pilot on 2716 rather than that awkward switcher pilot.
How about this? They take the same pilot from 614 and put a similar model of it at least, and put it onto that 2716. Problem solved.
That could work.
Well, now,
chop that.
Well, guys, we only have 8 minutes left of the stream, and actually, I think we have too many. Should we do a part 2?
Yes.
Sure.
Should we?
Wow.
How many minutes have we got in the stream?
We've only got 8 minutes left to stream, and we have so many more different. We have the Grand Canyon. We have the testicle. Wow, the Texas State Railroad, and we also have the.
What about the Morris County Central with 385?
Oh yeah, we have to talk about that.
Yes,
we have to talk about that.
We have so many. We have so many locomotives to talk about with the Great Livery Debate, and
tell us about the testicle.
Testicle State Railroad, number 500.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about 500 myself, actually. But since we don't have enough time this round, we're going to have to go...
How many minutes have gone by in the stream?
Well...
Too many. Let's see, we're now over
23. 1 hour 23.
Over 1 hour.
Yeah.
But yes,
I feel like it's because Owen's been talking too much.
Yeah, anything, I think, I hate to say it, but if anybody takes us off track, it's Steven.
Anyway, though.
The Testicle Railway.
Anyway, we are going to continue next week on this episode of Burning... On this episode. In fact, next week, we're going to introduce 9 more of these locomotives to put on the wall. But anyway, we will see you guys next time.
All right.
Bye.